What is going on, everybody? This is Nick here at Y480. We are playing NHL 17 a little bit before it goes out the wayside to leave room for 18, which is going to be great. We're going to play a lot of fun modes in that and just kind of ride it. What's the team you guys want to do in that for GM mode? Let me know down in the comments below. But what I wanted to talk about today with some of this gameplay behind me was, okay, first of all, I hope that this becomes a out-of-date news story by the time this goes up. I hope it's already solved and this is a dumb video that no one needs to watch. But where is Jagr gonna go? The guy can play. He doesn't need to go off to the KHL. He doesn't need to go off to these other leagues. The dude can play. Somebody give him some time. He can mentor some people around him. Unless there's some background, him not gelling with locker rooms that's become a big rumor. I don't see that. And I mean, I've heard from one of my previous bosses used to be a teammate of his on the Penguins back in the early 2000s. And he said he was, kind of full of himself. But the dude was a star from day one. I mean, that doesn't really, I don't know if that makes it okay to not sign the guy, if he's full of himself. He's old now. I feel like he's a lot different from when he was in the late 90s, early 2000s, when he was, the superstar on a lot of teams, moving around. One of the things that a lot of people are saying is that he'll go to somewhere like Philadelphia or maybe back to New York, like teams he's been on before. And I think that there is something there. Obviously, he knows management or knows staff and things of that nature. So it's going to be a little more easy of a transition. The guy's going to jump right in. Obviously, any team he goes on, everybody's going to have respect for him. The guy's a legend. He's a skating, living legend on the ice. And he proves it year after year that he could, he can still play. Apart from his short sabbatical from the NHL, this guy's been doing it for years. 20 plus years. So it's one of those things that I think it's just another situation where maybe until a team is really looking to fill a roster spot with somebody, a veteran, obviously you can say this is a veteran many times over. At his age, it's difficult for a team to want to pull the trigger because at the end of the day, you got to think about it. First of all, they got to pay him. B, if they, secure him, he gets injured because he's, older or whatever. He's more prone to injury. It's just a fact of life. They have to pay for that too. They have to pay the doctors. The owners are thinking about this in monetary terms, not necessarily in hockey terms like a lot of the fans want to think about it in. And I get it. But at the end of the day, aren't you going to make up for that by the fact that you have a legend on your roster? Look at some team that doesn't have a ton of attendance that could really draw from a veteran presence, another shooter. They were talking about LA. Now, LA, yeah, they're a great team, and, they've won the Cup multiple times in the last few years here. It's been amazing to see their runs go as unappreciated as they have, but that's just it. LA is not a hockey town. It's a big town, and it will fill its arena during the playoffs and things of that nature, and probably during a few regular season games, but this isn't a consecutive sellout town, unfortunately, just because it's more of a basketball town. And honestly, from a lot of things I've heard from athletes, not directly, but through interviews and after they leave LA, they say it's hard to play in LA because of everything going on. It's not necessarily a bad thing at all. Just so much is going on in the city. Are people going to go pay $100 to go to a hockey game when at the same time there's 400,000 other things to do in LA alone, from anywhere from, culture, like museums and things of that nature, to the beach and, you could literally say anything and LA has it. It's such a big city. Like, I live in Chicago, and that's a pretty big city, but LA is massive. LA is absolutely massive, and every single corner has something to do. So I can't blame the people for not going to a ton of games. Like, I don't go to every Red Wings game. I don't have season tickets. I live hundreds of miles away. So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm still a hockey fan. I'll still watch on TV, and I'll still try to catch as many games as possible, and actually physically go to them. It's much harder now. But, people in Detroit go to games, and it's not because there's not a ton to do, but it's just more of a tradition there. It's hockey town, Chicago. It's a tradition. It's the United Center. I mean, it's just this huge thing. There's just an aura around, original six teams, and even, teams that aren't in the original six that have sellout crowds at all times. It's just easier when you're in a hockey mecca. A lot of people in Detroit, they play in the Little Caesars hockey teams coming up. And if if you're not from Detroit or Michigan, you don't really know, unless you play travel hockey, you don't really know what those are. Mike Ilitch obviously was the owner of the Red Wings. He owned Little Caesars. He ran a ton of youth hockey programs. So all these hockey programs were made super affordable for the most part. Hockey's probably one of the most expensive sports to do as a kid, but it made it a lot more affordable. So you have all these kids who, first of all, are going to play hockey. Just at the end of the day, going to play hockey. But then they also have the owner of the hockey team that their parents are rooting for and their relatives have been rooting for generations. He's the owner of that team. He's the owner of the Red Wings, and he also is basically the owner of their team. The team they're playing on, they're going at 5 a.m. to practice every weekday or every Thursday or whatever. It's just one of those things. So it's just kind of in our DNA in Michigan. And I'm only talking about Michigan because that's where I'm from. And, from a very early age, it was just in our system. And I'm from especially a big part of Michigan. And I won't obviously mention exactly where I'm from just because it's the internet and I don't want to do that. But I'm from a town that's like 100% hockey all the time and hosts a lot of really great tournaments. And it's right there. I mean, Canada is you can spit to Canada. It's basically Canada. And a lot of people say I have slight Canadian accent when I say certain words, and I'm not going to say them now, so don't even think about it. But I love it. I love the culture, and that's that's why it's such a big thing. But you can't say the same thing about LA or Phoenix, Arizona, or even even Dallas and things like that. Even though I would say Dallas has a bigger fan base because it's steeped in a little bit more tradition. The great one Gretzky played for LA, and they still have trouble filling their the Staples Center. So it kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, it's difficult. And I think bringing someone in like Jagr, bringing someone in who is another great one, you can say like top 5 players of all time, ambassadors of the game kind of person. And I'm not just saying, you can make the argument for skill. And obviously, me as a Wings fan, I put Gordie Howe pretty high, Ted Lindsay pretty high, things of that nature. But, Jagr's always going to be in the top 10 mix, at least. Has to be in the top 10 mix, just for the sheer fact of just raw determination and amount of years played. I mean, the guy is just getting it done, putting the work in. And I think that's a good thing. I think that it's good for the game, and it would be good to show younger players that, hey, these are the mistakes I made when I was young, in game and off the ice, and this is how you correct those. And I think LA, as of today, LA has passed on signing him. At least that's what they've said to the press. I think it's kind of a mistake because they haven't had the most offense. I don't know. I just feel like even a top 9 role for Jagr would be amazing on the Kings. Picturing him on a line with maybe someone like Brown or something, and just like boom, boom, boom. They're a line that can get goals, but they're also a line that can throw the body and have a lot of leadership on it as well. Throw them with somebody younger, and I feel like that would be pretty good. And I'm not necessarily saying he has to be line mates with somebody that throws the body like Brown or grinds on the puck, things of that nature. I'm just saying, he can pass the puck, he can shoot the puck. Put him on the line with somebody that can facilitate that exercise. And I think you'll get some good results out of it. And he's not a guy that needs to be, a healthy scratch every night. That's another thing that's super rare in the league. So, there's only so many roster spots. I get that. And I understand that if his time's done, it's done. But the guy wants to play. His agent says he wants to play. I don't think there's any other reason why not to. And as you guys can kind of tell, this is really off the cuff. I'm just kind of spouting stuff. So if anything has been inaccurate, let me know down in the comments below. And let me know what you think is going to happen with Jagr, if he is going to fully retire and leave the league, or if he's going to, get signed. Or maybe C, if he's not going to fully retire, but he is going to retire from the NHL, go play in something like the KHL. Somebody was saying, like, have him go play in the East Coast Hockey League. That'd be kind of funny. Things of that nature. And I've said that a million times, but things of that nature, that's all I can really say. Everything's speculation right now. I think Stevie Dangles posted a thing about this that just said, it's August. I'm not going to speculate on anything. I'm just going to kind of report it as it is and wait for 2 sources. That's all you can do. So if by the time this video does come out, he's been signed, I'm happy. I'll still post it because it is my thoughts, and I kind of went off on a tangent talking about the past and cities and things of that nature. There it is again. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Let me know down below where you think he's going to fall. And what do you think a team's passing on him? Is that a good thing? Are they dodging a bullet? Is it a bad thing? Let me know. I'm really interested to hear. So let me know down below. I also want to sign him on a fantasy team because I feel like he'll pot some in for me, and it'd be real nice. That could be a great final pick of a draft. Just Jaromir Jagr. Boom. Final pick. So thanks again, guys. This was a lot of fun to talk about, and we'll see you next time out on the ice.